Hey, welcome to Fireside Chat.
Hi.
We're just kind of hanging out and talking about what some things that we did with our clients that worked, maybe even some things that didn't work, right? And I'm also thinking it'd be such a great idea to talk about like if we tried a tool on our own selves and how that
Yeah,
went too. Yeah. So nothing really formal. We're just kind of chatting by the fire somewhere. I'm like
I
imagining
like it.
this crackly little fire somewhere here in South Florida.
You're gonna warm yourself by the fire on our logo.
Oh, is that what it is? Where's the logo? Woo,
Yeah.
so hot. It's so nice and toasty.
Yes. So
So,
what'd you do this week that
well, this
you loved?
on Monday, I think it was, no, Tuesday. Not that you have to know the day that it happened, but it was pretty recent. And I was going over with a client body battery, which is something we talk about in our Ignite course and just we talk about often anyway. And body battery being like making sure that you know what you need in order to have your battery charged so that you are having a good day, basically, right? Sleep, nutrition, all the basics, right? But then sometimes there are things that are not typical to everybody. Maybe meditation, sometimes that helps people, sometimes it doesn't. It could be even like hanging out with friends, walking barefoot in the grass for 5 minutes. I don't know. I just thought of Julia Roberts and Pretty Women with that. I don't know what made me go there.
Hmm.
Um,
Right.
and then, so I was talking about that with the client, and we had talked about it before, and she knew her things, but there was just something in that moment where I was like, this isn't like I could feel it wasn't super landing, right? And then I said, you know what? I don't typically do this, but with you, I think this is gonna like land. So not only do I want you to have that body battery, but now I want you to have the battery, like what's gonna fill your spirit, your
Mm.
soul. And then she just went, yes, that's exactly what I need. Right. So then you could see she just started jotting things down and she got super excited. She was already getting quickly grounded. And she is someone that I've been working with for a while. So I kind of knew which direction to go to and what would just kind of create this energy for her. And she was a little down in the dumps and she lives more north. So things are already getting darker and the seasons are changing. And she was just in that more darker hibernating space. So this one, boom, it was like it
Mm.
just lit the room up and it was fun. So I love that, trusting your intuition
Yeah.
and like knowing your clients and then like go with it. Have fun in the coaching process too.
Hmm. I love that. I love that because it really is like we have so many tools, and I think that the great thing about having the freedom to modify and meet someone where they are is that you can just tweak it like a slight bit and it can have like a huge difference. I mean, even so much as like maybe someone is doing things in their body battery category that is actually hitting the thing that she needs to hit, but just by changing the name, like had her think differently about, oh, what might I put on that list of things to make sure I
Yeah.
do?
Yeah. Yeah.
Awesome.
Kind
I
of
love
gave me
that.
energy. I'm like, what? I need to figure out what's in my
Yeah,
spiritual battery too. So yeah, cool. What about
I
you?
love that. Okay, so I was talking to a client about what I'll call new mileage.
Ooh.
So what I mean by that is, and if you haven't like run a race in your life or run a distance, this may not resonate, but you really could think of it in terms of anything that you've done new. And the point is like, so we were talking about how, okay, like let's say you're training for a 5K. And when you go out at first and maybe you haven't run in a while, it's really hard to run like the first mile. But after you train for a while, like the first mile is nothing. And then like when you're training for a half marathon or a marathon, like mile one is like no big deal. But in the beginning, that was really hard. And even if you're an avid runner and you're training for a marathon, like toward the end, the new mileage is really, really hard. And the reason this came up was because we were talking about like how he had essentially like conquered the new mileage with respect to career. And so when he's looking for jobs and was looking for jobs, there really were things that he was not going to say yes to because he had like the confidence that he could command something different and really deserved something different. And so we called that like new mileage or like that was no longer new mileage for him. That was old mileage because at one point he was like, oh, yeah, I took a job for less money and maybe it wasn't the best location and maybe I wasn't quite doing the thing that I wanted to do. But now that I'm kind of through that mileage, like, no, really like say yes to the right thing. And it came up because now we were experiencing that in like dating with him. And he was saying, like, it's kind of weird. Like, now, not weird, but he was like, oh, I'm recognizing that I'm where I would be really comfortable saying no with respect to career. I'm actually like saying yes to a little bit more in terms of like compromises that I would make in relationship. Like, I see that this person might not be a fit for some reasons, but I'm saying yes anyway because like I don't really have the confidence to say no. And so we were just talking about how like he just hasn't trained in that mileage yet. And so he's gonna need to do some practice in like, okay, could you hold, the yes for the real yeses in who you're dating and be okay with saying no. So that was how we talked about it just in terms of like training. And it really did resonate, I think, because he could see how prior to this, he was like the saying yes to something with career felt like the only thing to do and there was no way he was going to say no. And then like now he feels so different and like could he translate that into relationship? And he was like, yeah, I've got to work on it, but I can totally see how I have changed it in this other part of my life. So why couldn't I do it here? Does that make sense?
Totally. My brain's just like, oh, I have so many like thoughts and but that's so cool. I love, is he a runner too, or has he done things like that so he can relate or
So he actually like the running thing didn't really resonate as much as like
yeah.
like exercise. I mean, we were
Right.
talking about like okay, like at first maybe you're just lifting a certain amount of weight, but then over time you're like, okay, that's like really easy. Now I can move on to the next.
Yeah.
So that resonated more. The mileage
Okay.
was more like my thing. I mean, he got the
Yeah, 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 yeah,
concept,
yeah.
but like you could maybe, depending on your client, like maybe you use like weight training
Yeah.
as the example. But
Yeah. Well, what I love about that though is that it's true, right? Like you do have to go through the pain of the new thing, right? And you don't have as much confidence, and then you cycle through, you get confidence, and then again, maybe even you have a same area, different goal, and then you still have to do that cycle all over again. But how cool was it that he could see, like, right, if I did it in this one area, what is stopping me from this other area? And I love
yeah,
the way you explained that though. So that could be understood. I love that.
yeah,
Yay.
yeah. It was kind of a fun way to talk about it, but I
Yeah.
didn't convince him to like run a marathon or anything. I
Oh,
wasn't
I
trying
can
to,
see
but
why, because Andrea and I have run a marathon together, and I'm not sure it was one of her favorite things she did in her life.
well, you know, um, I'm so proud to say I did it, and
It's
I know new mileage
true.
because of it.
So does
So,
that mean you would run another marathon?
oh my gosh, are you gonna put me on the spot? I'm not sure I would run a full marathon. Um, but
Okay. Start to work on it.
maybe,
Start to work.
maybe.
Listen, I'm
Someone
not saying
actually,
I'm not gonna, but
someone actually said an older client of mine said at the time that we were training for our marathon,
Yeah.
said that we should be doing a triathlon instead because it's actually
Please.
easier on the body, even though that seems like it doesn't make any sense. She was a trainer of athletes and said, no, actually, like just doing the running program is like harder. If you did the swim and the bike as well, it would be fine. My brain doesn't think that that's true, but I'm just saying, I don't know.
Maybe I need to be coached around this because I could have this limiting belief that I will die if I swim in the ocean. So
Oh,
that's why
okay.
I may not want to do that.
That would be your new mileage. You'd have to
That
start
would be my
small.
new mileage for sure. All right, cool. So I'm all toasty by the fireside now, ready to go.
Yeah, it's good. Yeah, thanks for sharing that. I'm gonna think about the spirit
Next
battery.
marathon.
No, not the next marathon.
Bye.
Okay, talk to you soon.
Bye.
Bye.